This one's a weird one. I do think the Bills got better. But have you guys ever seen Men in Black?
Yeah.
The movie where you have to hold up the thing in front of your face and it erases.
Neuralizer.
Yeah, exactly. It erases a little portion of your memory. Like if I just erased the end of season ownership press conference, and then you told me the Bills fired Sean McDermott because he had to go. There was too much scar tissue. There were too many losses. The defense underperformed in the playoffs, averaging 33 points allowed in the last 6 playoff losses. But the offense has been really good since Joe Brady took over for Dorsey. Josh Allen likes him. Don't let the 36-year-old offensive mind play caller out the door who's got a good relationship with your quarterback. And then you hired to improve the defense a 43-year-old defensive coordinator that's universally respected in Jim Leonard, who is coming from one of the best defenses in the NFL this year. I think we all would have been like, yeah, that makes sense. Continuity, young, bright minds on both sides of the ball, young coaches. But instead, we heard the owner of the team be like, I thought we should have won because they caught the ball, but we got screwed by the refs, but I fired the coach because he was crying, and so we needed turnover, and then I just promoted the guy who was here. Like, their explanation for it made no sense, but I actually think where they got to is a pretty good thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just sold it really well, and I don't think they've taken a step back. I think it's all about Leonard and what he does with that defense, because offensively, I think they're just going to hit the ground running. And they're going to be just as good. And if they get a better receiver, number one guy, they could be better offensively. And if Leonard is good defensively, I think they will. I would be shocked if they are not right back where they were, next year, where they have been the last several years, which is in contention to get to the Super Bowl. We'll see if they do it. And I don't care that I get it. The press conference was wacky. Who cares? He's not an owner that like Jerry Jones, where he's all in the mix, and you know what I mean? He's not going to have any impact on the coaching to our knowledge. And so I think a lot of owners, if you put them in a press conference like that, they're not used to dealing with media. They might come off wacky. So that doesn't bother me at all.
So as I said at the beginning of the show, I try never to have a strong take on rookie head coaches. You know what I mean? That there is never, this is the closest thing to a sure thing I felt recently was Ben Johnson. That ended up being correct, but in the positive way. And the one that I was most skeptical of recently was Brian Schottenheimer, and that I think ended up being incorrect. I thought he did a nice job with the Cowboys, at least on the offensive side of the ball. It's all something of a black box with these guys. But I can't ignore the press conference, and I can't ignore that even without the press conference, we would have thought if Sean McDermott got fired after a game where Josh Allen turned the ball over 4 times, and it was in part because, man, there is just too much scar tissue, to use your phrase. And promoting from within, when that's part of the reason, feels like you have a friend who moves out of an apartment that they like, they have a good lease payment on, all of it's like, but I lived with my long-term love there, and she left me. It's like, oh, okay, where are you moving? It's like, cross the hall.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess it's a little different, but you're still going to be constantly reminded of
great.
it. And so, I like the commute, and there are some positives. And the other piece of it is, I have a hard time deciphering how much credit Joe Brady actually deserves when we have seen Josh Allen post his second year in the league. He started to show who he could be in year 2, and then year 3, he was not fully formed, but he was MVP candidate that year. He's been an MVP candidate every year since then. And when you look at the 3 coordinators, the game his style has changed, right? He doesn't throw as much. He cut down on the turnovers to a degree, but also cut down on the yards. The overall efficiency, the touchdown-interception ratio is not all that different, and I just wonder if the order had been reversed. If Joe Brady had taken over for Brian Daboll and that team started 5-5, I know they put it on Ken Dorsey, but that if Ken Dorsey was sitting there...
Remember, wasn't Josh throwing the ball all over the place, too?
Josh was throwing the ball all over the place, but I think a lot of Bills fans, I think probably the guy sitting to my right is like, you know what the Bills should do? throw the ball more with Josh Allen. And so an all-time talented quarterback gives you such a high floor on offense that I just can't really decipher how much is Joe Brady's brilliance and how much of it is Josh Allen's brilliance. But I do know that, at least in the regular season, I feel that defense consistently overachieved. And I don't look at Jim Leonhard, a first-time defensive coordinator, as a sure thing. And I think Sean McDermott's loss will be felt there. I think having a head coach who's also a play caller, which I think this will be, game management stuff can fall through the cracks. It just feels risky. And now maybe whomever they hired was going to be risky, but risky without the catharsis of who cares about all these playoff losses? We have a new everything around here because Joe Brady learned under Josh Allen.
Risky though. Like if they had brought in, I mentioned Clint Kubiak or anybody, we would have legitimately been like, we don't know. And you're right, Joe Brady, this is his first year, but it was his offense. They're going to keep essentially the same offense, which has been like top 3 in the league since he's been there. So
And James Cook has done really well under Joe Brady, right? So it's not just that Josh Allen has had similar production across the board. They actually have like a more traditional running game since Joe Brady's got there. What I am with you with on the press conference and not being able to shake the dysfunction is of the cream of the crop AFC guys, if we should be comparing Josh more to Burrow than we do Lamar.
What do you mean?
In that we know Cincinnati's a dysfunctional organization, and Joe Burrow is the deodorant for a lot of it. And how dysfunctional are the Bills that we just, like, if Josh Allen wasn't the first, second, or third best player in football.
That's what Mangini's saying McDermott might be.
Right. They broke their playoff streak with Tyrod Taylor with McDermott. And so how much of that was McDermott as the armor to that? And can I ask, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm outstanding a quick question.
Yeah, go.
Take a new job. People always be like, tell your boss this. What does success look like? So when you go into the job, you know, like, oh, did I do a good job or not? You don't just take a job blindly. If Joe Brady says, oh, I heard your press conference, keep on coming up short in an AFC championship game, what does success look like for me next year?
I mean, he obviously has to make a Super Bowl.
That's it. So I think that it's
they will
when you
say,
frame it through that, it feels
that's
like
really tough. Yeah, I mean,
but that's why the other guy's gone.
I agree.
Absolutely, they'd be on your SBOB list, right?
No, absolutely. But listen, it's just in his first. Like if I mean, they've been to the conference championship and lost in heartbreaking fashion. So
rookie head coaches ever to win a Super Bowl.
That's the thing.
Don McCafferty with Wild's favorite team, the 1970 Baltimore Colts,
unbelievable,
who took over a team that had won a championship and was had been a champion, and George Seifert, who took over a dynasty in progress. Like the only rookie, by not first year with the team, but first year as a head coach. They took over teams that had won championships. So and this applies to the Ravens as well.
Right.
The Ravens and Bills fired their coach because we're SBOB, and they're asking their coach to do something that's literally never been done.
That's why I think I hear you, and they are clearly SBOB, but if they get to the conference championship and lose, it'll be heartbreaking, particularly if it's to the Chiefs. But it's gotta. I mean, they have to understand that.
Well, they're obviously, if that happens, they're obviously not going to fire the guy.
Well, but you said McCarthy got fired. He won 13 games, and he flamed out.
McCarthy got fired.
Yeah, but he had been there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But he had been there, and he's just getting there and hitting a wall. So they fire him. They bring in Sean. He's like, hey, pretty good job. Didn't make the playoffs. Yeah. You know what I mean? He had a longer leash.
So just real quick before we get to top 10, because we're going to need a lot of time for top 10, because spoiler alert,
I think
America, it's bizarre.
Really? Like a good segment. Fun.
When you guys say that you're confident they didn't go backwards, you think they maybe got better, here's where I think KW and I are. I would have been stunned if the Bills ran it back and next year they go 7-10. I think that was almost off the board. Mm-hmm. With a rookie first-time head coach, it can't be off the board.
Really?
Yeah, really. Yeah, absolutely.
Don't get me into it.
What?
I'm ready for that conversation. I got all the opponents. I'm ready. Oh, you got the Texans. Uh-oh, the Texans, the Bears. It's not easy.
Yeah.
The Rams are
I
up
guess
there.
anything is possible.
Seahawks, you're playing both teams in the Super
The
Bowl.
Patriots twice, but they'll be coming off that Super Bowl loss, so they'll probably be down.
Are you sure? It's not just like Vince Lombardi style winning's the only thing. You got the Patriots and the Seahawks.
So
And
they're
guess
not
what?
eligible.
They're not
that's
eligible.
what it says in
but they
red.
got 10 other teams.
Yeah.
Some
And it's
teams are
not
like, guess
just
what?
the
We had a
standings,
good
the
year,
finish.
even though we're not in Santa Clara.
Yeah.
And if
These are
some
top
people
10
are
teams.
thinking, is Wilds overselling this?
No, I'm not. He
No,
told me
this
to
is
sell it. It's
actually a
good.
great. It's a great
like it.
idea.
Yeah, it just
And what you're
poorly
about to see is
executed.
just a terrible list.
No, I
it's
like
such
it.
a good idea.
Poorly
And the
With
list
friends
is
like
just
these,
No,
poorly
I'm
executed.
selling the heck out of
Yeah,
it.
you're-
It's
yeah,
coming
go ahead.
across real
Yeah,
genuine.
let's hear it.
Coming in at number 10, really successful season. My Los Angeles Chargers. It's not a me top 10 list if they're not on it. I'm sorry. Did you lose 2 of your 4 best players basically for the entire season? Still win double-digit games? Still prove that that's now your floor? Have top 5 cap space going into next year? Coming in at number 9, very successful season for the Houston Texans. You might say, well, that's a little weird. Quarterback had some serious problems at the end of the year, but everything else on the defensive side of the ball screams if they can just get C.J. Stroud to be Bo Nix, they can win a Super Bowl. Their defense has now just been phenomenal. Went from good to great. You like your coach. You love your defense. That gives you an incredibly high floor. 12-win team, the team that no one wanted to play in the playoffs. We know that C.J. Stroud has talent. Can he figure it out? Coming in at number 8, the Dallas Cowboys. Nick's been saying it. I didn't like the coach at the beginning. Well, Schottenheimer actually did a pretty good job this year. Defense got better after the trade deadline, and they have 2 picks. They have the 12th pick and the 20th pick this year, so you've got an elite offense. It worked out with George Pickens. It worked out with the coach. 2 top 20 picks to add to that defense.
I like it.
Pretty good momentum going into next year for the Dallas Cowboys. Coming in at number 7, the San Francisco 49ers. They were under the radar for me for a lot of the year because I kept thinking, well, eventually it's going to fall apart. Too many injuries. Warner, Bosa, Brock Purdy, the wide receiver situation, the Ayuk situation. All of these top guys got hurt for a serious amount of times. Their first-round pick, multiple receivers, their quarterback, their best players on defense, and they were still a game away from the 1 seed in the NFC. It just shows that your coach-quarterback combination, the organization, is incredibly healthy. One of the highest floors of any organization in the NFL. Coming in at number 6, the New York Giants. Tons of flashes from Jackson Dart. A lot of frustration, but flashes. And you get back your running back. You get back what you believe to be a top 10, maybe top 5 wide receiver. You've got an awesome front 7. You finally have a competent head coach in John Harbaugh. Top 5 salary cap position. Top 5 pick, number 5 in the draft. A lot of optimism for Big Blue going into next year. Coming in at number 5, the Las Vegas Raiders. If you're not going to be great, you may as well be awful. Worst place to be is in the middle. You pulled the ripcord on the Pete Carroll experiment because that was a disaster that wasn't going to work out in the AFC West. It's a 1 quarterback draft with Mendoza out of Indiana, and you got the number 1 pick. So if you like him, you draft him. If you don't, you hold a bidding war, and you can completely retool your team. You're going to have a new coach and a new quarterback this year, and Tom Brady is heavily involved. That can only help. Great season in a bad season for the Raiders. Coming in at number 4, the Denver Broncos. A historic defense, a trip to an AFC title game, and if you win 14 games this year and 10 wins last year with Bo Nix, you have to feel remarkable about, man, we have multiple years left of Bo Nix on a rookie contract and could have easily been in the Super Bowl this year if not for a devastating end-of-season injury, but the future obviously very bright in Denver. Coming in at number 3, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Liam Cohen, real case for Coach of the Year. Had a top 10 offense in Tampa, brings it over immediately. Top 10 offense in Jacksonville, and he saved Trevor Lawrence. He saved the Prince. He saved the Knicks guy.
Well, the Prince, I mean,
He needed saving.
they helped each other.
Symbiotic
relationship.
He didn't.
Let's
because-
see Liam Cohen head coach team without the Prince. See how it looks. I'm just saying. We
Well,
don't know.
you saw Baker Mayfield-led offense, but I believe we have the how the Jaguars finished the season offensively. Those 9 games on the right obviously carry you in for next year, feeling very good about your coach-quarterback combination. And save the running game, by the way. Travis Etienne finally living up to his draft position since Liam Cohen got there. Coming in at number 2, the Rams. Before the year, could Matt Stafford even play this year with his bad back? Ended up just being the MVP who led in passing yards, passing touchdowns, overwhelmingly likely to bring it back, and sneaky benefit for them. The Atlanta Falcons missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
Rams almost made it to the Super Bowl. They have 2 first-round picks. They get the 13th pick in the draft to continue to add to that team, and Stafford assuredly going to come back. And coming in at number 1,
Where's that pick from?
Atlanta.
Atlanta from this year's draft.
When Atlanta traded
for
out
James
for
Pierce.
for the pass rusher.
Jeez.
The Chicago Bears, most successful non-Super Bowl season. This most enjoyable season of 40 years watching the Chicago Bears beat the Packers twice. And if you solve coach and quarterback in one season where it legitimately is best coach since Ditka, best quarterback since ever in 1 year, and a bunch of throws of the year, Caleb Williams ends up on this list. This is the company that the Chicago Bears quarterback keeps. Best touchdown to interception ratio, first 34 games. Mahomes is pretty good. Lamar Jackson,
Let's
Patrick
say
Mahomes.
85-18.
85-18. Yeah, because that takes out the first 16. It doesn't.
Yeah,
the
I
first 16
understand.
games don't count.
Yeah.
His is pretty good, Nick.
85-18 strong.
We're all chasing him. Still pretty good.
Yeah.
Company for Caleb Williams. Top 10 most successful teams this year. Brew, I assume, perfect top 10.
It's just terrible. Bonus take, but I'm gonna be quick because I know Nick
Take as
wants
many
to really
much
hammer
time
it.
as you want.
The Texans, look, they don't know if they got a quarterback.
Correct.
They don't know. I'm sorry, and I love CJ. They don't know if their last game
Don't
they
love
found
CJ
out.
Stroud if you're like, I don't know if he's the
He
quarterback.
threw 4 interceptions in the first half.
Then you don't love him. You got to ride with
I
him or
like
not.
him as a person, but my good, like,
No, as a person.
but I like what I see. Nick, right? They went into this season and last season thinking we got our guy.
They were excited to give him $250 million.
Right.
Okay.
Now they have
Correct.
no idea,
Yeah.
so I don't know that they can be
Yeah.
on the list. And the Rams, look, I get they got to the Final Four. That's nice. If you want to have them really low, 9th or 10th, but this was not a success. They are S-Bob. Their quarterback's 37 years old, had an MVP season. It was about winning the Super Bowl. He might retire. Then next year they're starting all over at quarterback.
They weren't on your SBOB list before the year.
No, but when you're that old, as far as your quarterback, and you've already won a Super Bowl, it's like we're not happy to get to the Final Four. We got beat by a divisional opponent with Sam Darnold, previously a bust, at quarterback, and we got beat because of our defense and special teams gaffe, which has been our problem for years. I mean, I get that they got far and that was nice, but that might have been Matthew Stafford's last dance, and certainly with them. And
he
so
almost
it was
retired, and then you got to see an MVP season
that was
and an NFC
that was
championship game.
great.
That's an
But once
unbelievable year.
that became evident, he's cooking. We're not happy with anything but a Super Bowl, especially when we've won one already.
Anything else, Bruce?
No,
so that
I
this
got-
guy-
The Panthers should be on there.
Okay.
The Panthers should be on there.
Brew.
That's good.
Bryce
I got you.
Young,
I
it
got
might
you
be our
covered,
guy.
Here's the issue.
Here we go. Go ahead.
7, 8, 9, and 10 are all ridiculous.
Great.
What happened with the Niners this year? Oh, I don't know. We found out some electrical
No, would you
substation
stop
is
with
poisoning
that?
their players.
That's just
They're gonna have to do.
You are
We had
adding
such a successful season. Our GM at the end of season press conference was like, we're gonna do an investigation over whether or not we have to move the stadium. That ain't great.
You're a little too
What
online.
about the John Lynch press conference said we're going to investigate it? What about the Dallas Cowboys? Let's go for it. Win right now. Trade future picks for Quinnen Williams. That didn't work out. George Pickens' experiment went great until, of course, it didn't at the end of the year and he quit on the team and now they don't know if they can pay him. Houston Texans. Everything's all great except for our number 2 pick of the draft, franchise quarterback, just melted down in the playoffs. And
focusing on
the
the
Chargers had the only thing happen that can't happen, which is Justin Herbert had such a bad playoff game that even you came out and said, yeah, drop him a little bit. They fired their coordinator. So
They got a better one.
maybe. So those 4 teams did not have successful
All right, and
seasons.
I know that I tipped you off on this, but as you always say with the top 10 list, the problem is you have to actually
Number
have 10.
7, the Panthers. They made the playoffs.
Oh, good. They're going to pay.
Number
they're
8.
gonna pay
Panthers
Bryce
should be-
Young.
I
Congratulations.
know that they're going to pay
Yeah,
Bryce
they're
Young.
gonna pay him.
Number
Okay.
8, The Titans, they moved on from a head coach who should not have been there, and they all of a sudden, they're like, hey, Cam Ward showed me something the last month of the year. Number 9, the Saints. Kellen Moore looks at least fine, and Shuck might be a diamond in the rough as a second-round pick. And number 10, Miami ripped the Band-Aid off with their coach and their quarterback.
Miami, no.
They can move on. They can at least move on.
They
It's
do that
better.
every
Miami fans are more optimistic today than Texans fans. Tell you that much
no,
right
they
now.
are not.
No, they
Yeah,
are
they
not.
are.
No,
Like,
they
we're
are
starting fresh. Starting
It's fresh every 4 years.
I'm just starting fresh.
No.
Whatever it is.
They still got
those
to pay
teams-
Tua. That's the problem.
No, they're not paying Tua. They're
You
moving
don't
on
like
from it.
Cam Ward. The Panthers are just good enough to pay
like
Bryce
Bruce said,
Young.
I do like Cam Ward as a person.
You are correct.
No, they already paid him.
They're not writing a check to Tua at any point in the future?
No, the money's already paid.
But yeah, but it's on the cap.
on the cap.
I mean, they still got that money on the
They're
cap.
in
Schmap.
No, they're in a bad spot
It's not
financially.
so easy to make that top 10 list.
It's certainly easy not
I thought it was
include
good. I thought it was good.
Thanks, Wyatt.
Really?
It was good.
So, Greg, we'll start with you here because you won a Super Bowl under Mike McCarthy, catching passes from Aaron Rodgers. Sorry, it is just
Sorry.
true.
I mean, you got one too, though.
He ended up getting one. Is that reunion, a McCarthy-Rodgers reunion, something Steelers fans should be hoping for?
I don't think it's something that they were hoping for, no, because I don't think that they were looking forward to even a Mike McCarthy hire. Aaron Rodgers, the idea of bringing Aaron Rodgers back, I think it's probably, and Willie could probably speak better to this, but I think there's mixed feelings there. Obviously, him having the best performance since Ben Roethlisberger being under center, that holds some type of value, being able to go to the postseason. However, I don't mind this hire. I wouldn't mind even seeing them reunite, simply because when Mike McCarthy was talking, and he did get very emotional, he ended up talking about, development of young quarterbacks in that quarterback room and how you develop young quarterbacks. I think that was a large part of why he got the job. They want a guy that has proven that he can develop quarterbacks and get the best out of the quarterbacks. But it starts with having somebody in that room that they can look to show them how to do it. And Aaron was there obviously last year under a different Arthur Smith, under a different scheme. Now you're under Mike McCarthy. If he can get that and still have the opportunity to him have tutelage over those young quarterbacks in that room. Will Howard's name came up several times in the chat and even with Mike McCarthy. Then that would be ideal because you would see how it works, but then you also get those reps in the offseason, which is what his quarterback school stemmed from.
Yeah, if I'm Mike McCarthy, there's nothing wrong with wanting that old thing back, right? We all remember that X, right? We that kept a twinkle in our eye. I think this comes down to fit and need. The Steelers need a quarterback who can solve the answers to the test at the line of scrimmage and still spin it. Aaron Rodgers can still do that. The question is, does Mike McCarthy fit this culture and locker room that Mike Tomlin built, right? That's going to be an issue. If he can, then it comes down, since you took this year off from football, have you evolved and caught up to modern day NFL? Because one of the things that the bugaboo or the knock against Mike McCarthy's offense was that it was static, a little stale. Now that you've had this full year off, what are you bringing to the table that we haven't already seen? That's going to be key. Also, if you're the Steelers right now, with the defense, who you have to get going, you also have to get a run game. Because if you have a run game, that takes the pressure off the passing game. And since you have a 42-year-old quarterback and you need more options on the outside, you're going to need a running game to stabilize that. Can Mike McCarthy provide that? So, yes, do I want them together? 100%. But I want to see change. I want to see a more efficient Aaron Rodgers, and I want to see a new scheme Mike McCarthy.
So I'm going to say something that I know that you are not going to like.
Then don't say it. That's as easy as that.
Okay, fair enough. But I don't expect players, and certainly not a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers or a TJ Watt or a DK. I don't expect those guys to want to do that. And clearly the Steelers are not doing it because they hired Mike McCarthy. But I think what I'm saying is based in fact through history in sport, and that is there is value in being bad. It is a good thing to be bad for a short period of time. Because if Mike McCarthy brings back Aaron Rodgers,
right,
they won't be the worst team in football. In fact, they probably won't even be a bottom 10 team in football. Mm-hmm. But you know what they won't be? The best team in football. So you will be somewhere between 7 and 11 wins with a 42-year-old quarterback that maybe ekes out a playoff win. And when the whole thing, I watched that whole press conference today, how many times did they reference, we got to get that 7th trophy. You know, the standard is the standard. We are the Pittsburgh Steelers. Bringing a 42-year-old quarterback in with a 62-year-old head coach, they're not winning the 7th trophy this year. To me, fastest path, if you're going to hire Mike McCarthy, is I guess you get him a quarterback that he can develop. Well, the best way to get a quarterback to develop is to get a great quarterback in the draft. The best way to get a great quarterback in the draft is to have a top five pick. Best way to have a top 5 pick is to be a bottom 5 team. Lose games this year, draft a great quarterback in next year's class that Mike McCarthy can develop, and start building the next era of Steelers football. What is the point of going 10-7 with Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy? What's the point?
You're never going to sell Steelers fans or Art Rooney tanking. That's what you're asking. It's never going to happen.
Okay.
You're asking for this team to bottom out. For what? When you won the division this year, when you feel like you're a couple pieces away from getting back to where you need to be. When you, honestly, if you believe in Mike McCarthy and what he can do, believe the fact that he can develop a Will Howard to become a quarterback.
Do you believe that?
He only had 1 year. Nobody believes it because we haven't seen anything that he's been able to do.
Yeah, and I would add, like, I think you could sell that to the fans. Tanking. I think you could sell that to the fans.
You don't need to. You don't even need to say it. You don't need to say it. You don't need to sell it to the fans. You just need to do it.
As it pertains to developing quarterbacks, like if you believe in Will Howard, and they spoke about Will Howard several times in this presser, of being, I'm excited to work with this young quarterback group. Will Howard, even before Mason Rudolph, they mentioned. Obviously, there's something that they see there that they feel like, you know what, I can work with that. If that is the case, you are going to bridge it with Aaron Rodgers, unless you just go into, and this isn't guaranteed. Let us start right there. Aaron Rodgers isn't guaranteed to be on this roster. He's just saying, you know what, if that opportunity presents itself, I wouldn't mind it. Why not?
But so even without Aaron Rodgers, like what do you think the ceiling is with Mike McCarthy? Well, what's the ceiling there?
Well, he was hired to develop a young quarterback. And the thing about this situation, which is funny, Mike Tomlin, part of his legacy, he was able to do more with less.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy's going to have to do the same thing. Because if Aaron Rodgers doesn't come back and Will Howard is your quarterback or Mason Rudolph, he's going to have to deliver. And if he doesn't, that's going to be a knock on his legacy. So I love the fact that he's home. He understands the pressure. I understand the Steelers are willing to say, hey, we got a short window. We want to take the noise, but we want to bank on Mike McCarthy and what he has done because of his resume. I'm fine with that. You're never going to sell Steeler Nation or any organization that tanking is the solution, because drafting a franchise quarterback isn't easy as buying a pair of shoes. It just isn't. They're lucky. It happens. Most teams that have one, they develop a team around them, and they put him in place and say, go. It's never about building, bringing one guy, he finishes it, he clears all the deficiency. It doesn't happen. It's about building a team. So the Steelers are in the business of building a team around a young quarterback, possibly in Will Howard. That's how you win Super Bowls.
I just think the clearest path to getting him, assuming we all believe that late rounds pick Will Howard is not going to be the next Tom Brady or Brock Purdy or whomever, assuming we all believe that, the best path to getting that quarterback is to have a premium draft pick. It's not a guarantee, but it is the best path.
Look, not every quarterback, to Willie's point, like not every quarterback strike gold in the early rounds.
I'm just playing the percentages.
And when you are a storied franchise, it is definitely more challenging, almost impossible to sell the idea or to even grasp the idea of, you know what we're going to do? We're going to sit back and lose some games. We'll be in the basement. We're not going to try to patchwork. That's just not how, when you're a storied franchise, it is very challenging to subscribe to that idea.
It doesn't exist. It only exists for people that never played. No knock.
No, it's okay. I get it. Non-athletic regular person.
No, I'm not even saying. No, I'm saying that from a player's standpoint.
I get it.
A coach can never tell us, hey, and valid he's saying it or not, we know what they're doing or not. Our job every Sunday is to go out there and perform, not only for the name on our back, but for the city. You're never going to step into Pittsburgh and talk about, hey, man, we're waiting for year 2 or 3. That's going to be our year. It's never going to happen.
Hire me to do PR for you. You don't need to say it. You just need to do it.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.